I've got some superb news from members of parliament from across the country who have come together and told me we deserve our own YouTube channel for Cyrus Says. It's called Cyrus Says, the new YouTube channel, and it'll have obviously Cyrus Says and Cock and Bull, which is Cyrus Says' stepbrother. So that's separate, just for you on a new YouTube channel. Please, guys, it's coming soon. Stay with us. Your lives will change forever. You will never be hungry again. Uh, maybe, maybe not. Yes, time to talk about Cock and Bull. Little gray hair showing. I apologize for that. It's actually on the other side, but I'll never get my left right, the mirror image thing correct in any case. But today I want to talk about the terrible plight I find myself with the neighbors that live next to me. Not all are evil. I would only shoot 60 to 70% of all my neighbors if I had a chance. I wouldn't kill them all. Some of them are nice. But sadly, we had a accusation from, let's say, one flat saying that the workers who are doing the building repair work have broken into the flat because one door glass window was open, where the barricades was, one of the windows was open and left open. But when asked whether anything was missing, apparently nothing was missing. So the whole point is, then, has there been a crime committed because the window is open? So I'm sounding cynical about this, but I want to put it out there to my esteemed panel as quickly as possible, because there's breaking and entering, which is basically trespassing. If you can prove that, because the window is open, there's no idea whether somebody actually went through that window or put the hand in to take things out or whatever. Or and there's actual theft, where, even if one paperclip is missing, theft has occurred, and then we can talk about that as a crime. So let me introduce two of the greatest detectives the world has ever seen. Amit Doshi has read every single detective piece of fiction and non-fiction that has ever been printed in 27 languages, sometimes simultaneously. He joins us. Also with us is Silvery, who as a young boy thought he was Tata, which is not Ratan, but the French version of Tintin. It is Tata, is it not? Let's ask Amit.
Is
Amit
it?
will know better.
Is it really? I
Yeah,
didn't
I,
know that.
I, I always have this one joker in the pack who talks, who will always pronounce it perfectly correctly just to feel superior. So when you're discussing Tintin, he'll go like, yeah, and Tata was, and you'll be like, and you better not,
I'm more of
because then,
a
Oh, oh,
I'm
so
more
you
of a
mean the
detective Clouseau fan. I think I'll go with
oh, I
Clouseau.
loved it. But Peter Sellers,
Yes,
huh? The old
Peter
one.
Sellers. Yes, yes, of
Yeah. Oh
course.
my God, that was genius. And if you
So
think
fun.
Appu is bad, what he did to the Indian accent with Harundevi
Yes,
Bakshi,
well?
Mister
That's what
Amit
I.
Doshi,
I
he
mean,
destroyed us for 25 years.
the
Every
whole.
bloody guy who tried an Indian accent after Harundevi Bakshi did that.
Yes.
Buddy num num. That same
Yep.
thing
No, no.
for
Also, I
years.
mean, I mean, like the inherent. So again, it was a very old portrayal at that point in time. So I mean, like you can't talk about it in today's language, but the inherent racism of that portrayal was just next level, right?
It's
It's
super
like
loud. So I'm not the
yeah,
subtlety of today's comedy will be lost on it completely. I accept that. But when we do German accents and when we do a Japanese accent and all this and Chinese accent, I mean, what are we doing? We all do these generic accents. We do it on
we
our
do,
TV show all the time. I mean, there's
right.
we do.
it does smack of racism to some level. I think we need to understand that racism. There are different levels of the racist dialogue that's being pushed forward
Yeah,
sometimes.
I agree with that. I think that, but again, it's a little, it's weird, man. I don't know where to go with this, right? Because again, like in some ways, it is
It's a touchy
extremely
topic for you,
offensive.
though. I know we poked the bear when we discussed Appu a couple of times, and your reaction caught me off guard because I didn't think it was that vile. But then I read about all these Desi Americans who thought it was horrible, and obviously, experience
Yeah,
being a Desi American is not the
Hmm.
experience me and Silvery have. So you're
right.
talking from another, and fair enough, because you can't compare the geographies because we don't
It's a
experience that.
different, yeah. It's a different. This also, I think, the way that in a more in a society where races are there are a lot more races, right? We don't have that many races in India, right? Whereas in a society with a lot more races, then I mean, like people do get a little more touchy about how their races are portrayed.
I don't know if I agree with that, Amit Doshi. That I think we have
Yeah,
more racist and more prejudicial people in India than anywhere in the world, because
we
we
are.
divide faster than anybody else. Faster. I mean, even the rich will
We
divide amongst
we
themselves who you
div-
call for dinner.
we
Oh, it's
divide
horrible.
over caste and we divide over
And class,
communities.
economics, standing,
Economics
your
is like
background.
economics is not even like a thing, right? Economics is the most important one.
These are all the offspring of racism. It's or casteism, whatever you want to take one as the mother. They all come
Discrimination.
out from there. Discrimination and looking the disparity kind of
Yep.
situation where you look, you look down. I mean,
True.
I do it now. I do a reverse version of that, where I look down on rich people because they're too
Okay.
sissy like and rich. So I've gone the other way, but it's equally
Huh.
evil. It's like left versus right. It's the same thing as it reaches extremes.
No,
But
it's
let's
it's
get back to my. Sorry, go
yes.
on.
No, that's fine. I mean, like, I
No, no,
didn't
no.
have a
Finish
point.
your point because I don't go
I
back to
was just saying
racism.
it's all
Oh.
discrimination, right? At the end of it, it's all discrimination, and most discrimination is bad. You can't say all discrimination is bad, but most discrimination is bad.
But here's the funny thing: talk about not having a backbone. So people like me and Silvery growing up would do the impression of Peter Sellers' impression of an Indian for their friends. Let's be honest, right,
Mm.
Silvery? You would do it, right?
Yeah,
Without blinking,
I mean,
because you're
yes,
being
I have.
insensitive
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
anti-national. I mean, I'm sure you
Correct.
have, man. I mean, you see the
Yeah.
film, and then if you're one of those types who likes to act it out, you do it. And it never occurred to us that oh,
we
you're putting
all
down our people.
we all change now. I mean, like, it's not just like the two, I think, most prominent kind of portrayals of Indian people right before the 1980s were Peter Sellers in this and Kabir Bedi in Octopussy, and
Mm.
but Kabir Bedi at
But
least
he
is
was putting
Indian,
on an
right?
accent.
No,
Kabir
but
Bedi
he's
was
a,
talking it down.
yeah,
He
he
speaks
was.
the Queen's English.
Yes, he does.
And he's a
Uh,
rich Delhi boy, with all that normal
no,
mother
no,
was English. So yeah, so that was again. So we are guilty ourselves of pushing the
uh,
what the audience you think wants to hear from a what is it, stereotype? Yeah,
yeah,
pushing a
from
stereotype.
it's broad brushes, right? You're painting with a broad brush, essentially.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
again, I don't see a problem with it really. And again, it was a different time, right? So, I mean, like, you can't really be that annoyed about it. There was a third one which I wanted to bring up actually, which was Fisher Stevens in the movie Short Circuit. That was
Okay.
actually probably a. So the thing is that when Peter Sellers did the role, right, it was a Peter Sellers movie where he played an Indian person, right? It didn't
Mm.
really
Hmm.
matter that he was Indian so much in the context of that movie, right? The movie was slapstick, right?
Yeah.
When Kabir Bey did it, he was Indian, right? But Fisher Stevens' Short Circuit, that was a time which was that was a little different, right? That was like in the mid '80s, and at that point in time, it was just a little, it was a little worse. So I think, like, times change in terms of how you look at this as well.
Although there have been some Indians whose performances in films have also been very bad portraying themselves. I mean, I
Yeah.
can go through a list of actors where you're wondering why they. I mean, the young Govinda, speaking
Vijay
in English
Amritraj was awful, wasn't he, as an actor?
in Octopussy. He has one of the
He,
most iconic lines in the history of movies for me. The
okay.
top five of all time. When Roger Moore says, "VJ, we have some company," and he turns around and says, "Yes, sir, it's a company car." Yeah, they,
Then there's also one movie which gets a lot of hate, but which I personally like a lot because I saw it as a kid. Is The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, where
Oh,
Naziruddin Shah played, I
I
think,
haven't seen it.
Captain
So is,
Nemo.
is he playing down his accent and all? Is he
Yeah,
playing
he
so that?
is. He's not. He's
Uh,
not. He's not like
Again,
doing
he
the
speaks the
Apu
Queen's English. So
direction of it.
again, this is a
He does.
choice.
Yeah.
This is not a
Correct. Yeah.
limit
Absolutely.
of the
Correct.
actor's, accent
And
ability
he,
and all
and
that.
he has like cool action sequences in it and all. Very fights with the sword. It's actually pretty cool.
yeah.
If you haven't seen it,
That part
I
is
don't know. In
fine. But
today's
see,
world, you
again,
probably wouldn't like it.
see in Harundi V.
But yeah.
Bakshi's character in the Pink Panther in the party, he's basically it starts with him putting tying his shoelace, if you guys remember, on a detonator, which blows up the movie set, which sets him out to be it's comedy of errors, but it sets him out to be a fool. It's a
Yeah.
bit like the Pink Panther character, Clouseau character also, but
Mm.
at the end of the day, from the start to finish, he is the fool.
Yeah.
So either you accept that and say, but he's
Oh,
the
on
fool, and
Seinfeld, Cyrus.
oh yes,
On Seinfeld
Babu,
also there was
Babu,
that
Babu.
Babu.
He's
Yeah, Babu.
Pakistani, but yeah,
It was
Yeah.
let's say that, that's
that
him.
was a
Yeah,
but proper stereotype. That was such a
yeah, he's a Jewish
stereotype, like
American
very
actor,
exaggerated
and
accent and all. Yeah, yeah,
you're a
correct.
bad man, Jerry. You're a
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
bad man. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Now,
Exactly.
now you're laughing. You can't have it both ways. This is all
What?
making fun of
No, it
this.
is making fun. It is, but again, like, the thing is that I don't. I feel like making fun of an accent to an extent is fine. Making fun of stereotypes beyond a point gets there,
But
there's
these
a
things also
line.
actually happen when we take on Western or
It
other
does.
cultures, garbs on top of us, and don't. I mean, it's all good. I don't see how it's bad, because tomorrow if I'm made to speak in Russian,
I
they'll be laughing at me, a little bit. So someone who's not conversant with the Queen's English or whatever the thing is, for example, I grew up with a lovely guy called Savan, one of my best friends in college,
Mhm.
and great guy, but he would occasionally say the wrong word. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, he was fabulous. He knew we like classical music, so he came to me one day and he said, "You like classical music?" And he liked to say everything twice. You like classical music? You like classical music? I said, "Yeah." Okay, okay. I've got records of Tachikao. I've got records of Tachikao. And for 15 minutes, me and my pals were saying, who's Tachikao? Tachikao? And I don't want to sound like I don't know all my composers. I'm like, Tachikao kaun hai? Finally, we cracked it. Tchaikovsky. but it's spelled CH.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, I went back. My family was on the
Uh,
floor. I mean, it's it's a related joke. You got to get the right relative audience for it. But and I love him for that. It's not like a bad thing in my eyes. It's just ridiculously funny. He's the same guy who said guinea pig in the science. In the class, she said
Well,
something. He said, "Oh, they're called guinea pigs." And we all looked at each other. We used to call him Ginny after that
Genie
for a
pigs.
long time. It's beautiful, great moments. So there you go. You're laughing, but it's not derision. There's a different
no,
thing.
it's
This
not. It's
derision
not.
quality, which
So
you get from Apu, I
there's
think.
a so I mean, like it is interesting, right? I mean, like because I don't know where I fall on this stuff, right? I think that you got to be because then like the natural end of this argument is when people start talking about cultural appropriation, right? And I don't believe in cultural appropriation at all. I think that's nonsense, right? To say that like Bill Maher had something on his show last week where he was talking about people making fun of surfing, right? And basically, there were or not making fun of surfing, but surfing was a Olympic sport this year, and there were people in
Y-
Hawaii who were like talking about cultural appropriation of what they were doing, and I'm just and I don't think that that's cultural appropriation, right? Because I think that and I don't think cultural appropriation in that sense is
But
bad because that's a mixing pot, right?
Yeah.
When
surfing was
people
not invented by them.
it was invented by them, but again, the Bill
You
Maher's
think
point
so?
was
How can you prove that? I mean, there'll be
so they
different.
say that surfing is an ancient Hawaiian sport, but then again, Bill Maher's point is that there are tens of thousands of islands in the Pacific, and I'm sure somebody thought that, hey, you know what, standing on a wooden board on a wave might be
That's
fun.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's you've just appropriated it. You may be close to the truth, but I don't think you can be absolutely certain. For example, in India, if you make gilli danda into a sport or
Mhm.
seven tiles, those are our sports. I
Right.
accept it totally. Or Coco for that matter. There are a few sports
Coco,
which are
yeah.
clearly they see. You put them in the Olympics and we can take credit for it.
It wasn't
But the
called Seven
others,
Tiles, dude. It was called something else.
Pittu.
in Hindi, it
That's
was
the one. No, Seven
Pittu.
Stones thing. Pittu
Yeah,
was
it
the
was
one in
called
Hindi.
Pittu. I don't remember
Pittu in
what it was.
Hindi. At
yes,
Okay.
in
least the
Malwa Hill they
version
said
we played
seven
of it.
tiles, but as you go
Was it
down,
Seven
it starts
Tiles?
becoming more vernacular. Well, come
Okay.
on, I
I
can't
don't
remember.
think
years old. This is not easy for me, man.
I don't think we called it Seven Tiles in my building. I remember playing it a
But did you
lot, but I
guys
don't think.
play with it with like a Costco ball or with a football?
No. So I mean, like
No,
you
no,
used to
with a
first
regular ball.
you play a tennis ball,
The
no?
tennis
The
Yeah,
ball.
hard
Oh,
tennis,
tennis
we, so
the
ball.
we
Amarok hard tennis ball.
we played
Regular.
both versions.
M&I used to. Huh.
With the football, you had to kick it, but it would be farther away, and the stones would be smaller for us. Like that's how we used to do it.
Hmm.
But that
Okay.
was born out of
Anyway, yes.
necessity, being the mother of invention. You
Yeah,
couldn't find. I
Yeah.
can
yeah, we couldn't
imagine
find a
these things.
smaller ball
This
exactly.
is the
Yeah.
desi mind. The European mind, due respect, not being racist, they'll give up. आज खेल बंद है, हम नहीं कर सकता. But we will always find a
Yeah.
way. Somehow we'll make the tile
So the
smaller,
day
make the
the
guy
day we
further.
see yeah the day we see Americans and Britishers doing jugaad in their movies is that is like the
Yeah, but
farthest cultural appropriation that
That's
well,
has
the
gone.
appropriation.
Yeah.
apparently American, the Caucasian American population is now right on the divide. In the next couple of years, it's going to be 50-50, 50 white, 50 non-white. And that's I mean, from where they started,
No,
really,
no,
the supremacists are going to be very upset. It's alarming.
no, so
But
there was a there was a thing about the just came out. No, the census just came out.
yeah, it's at
So I
about
think
60% now, and it's
yeah,
going
it's
down.
at 58 and it's going
58,
down.
and it's going
But there
down.
are a bunch of states which are majority uh,
Yeah, be that
non-white
as
now at
it
this point.
may, the Hispanic population, which is considered, which of course goes actually from extreme white to extreme dark, or all kinds of shades, is the fastest growing population. And then there's the Asians, who, are, if they just let us in, in 5 days, it'll be over. Let's face it, every third person Chinese, every fourth person Indian, and that's it. I mean, they'll be consigned like the Parsis to a museum. Those were the Americans, not the Native Americans. Those we lost a long time ago. Those white American settlers, there they are, 7, 8 of them left. Listen, guys, you have to talk about that. Damn, you did not discuss my topic for the day. I thought you would, which is
Which
what constitutes a crime. If a window is open, but for this, the whole WhatsApp on the billing chats are going berserk. I mean, it's
yeah.
huge because in Malwa Hill, there's no murder of late. So you've got to settle for this. A window being open. These guys are
Mhm.
working outside. They've got those things there. So it's clearly, possibly them who opened it. But is it a crime when nothing has been taken? Nothing has been moved. There's no footprint or anything.
It's entering right without permission. What is that?
It's just
Trespassing.
opening. We don't know if they've entered. It's a biggish
Okay,
window.
that's true.
So a small
I mean,
guy could
opening
get
is
in.
also you can't just open someone else's window. I mean, but it's fine if you did, and
But I mean,
if
again,
it just
I hope.
innocent, if it was just innocent, then you shouldn't be charged for it.
But
and
what do you
what
mean
are
by
the
innocent?
What if there are
What would be
reasons
in it?
for
How would
opening the
you open it
window, right?
innocently?
No, so they're painting the house outside, right?
Not
So what if they
painting.
need to get?
They're repairing the pipes at the moment, from what I gather. Painting
Okay,
hasn't started, huh?
I don't know.
All right, they're
Nobody
working.
should.
It's there.
Nobody should open windows, right? Nobody should open your private place. But at the same
It's
time, what is the proof that somebody did this?
There's nothing. There's just a half open window. That's what I'm saying. Jasus,
No,
Premchand, and
and
Sherlock Holmes can all come together on this one. I don't
no, no.
know.
So no, no. My point is
And
that
there's no material loss. No material loss. But
so
there's
I
could
mean,
be
like
trespassing.
how do we know that the somebody in the house didn't leave it open by mistake and is
Exactly my
unwilling to
point. But I've
accept
not
it?
said anything because I don't want to start. The guys venting and screaming and shouting. He was even shouting loudly downstairs a couple of hours back when I went down with the dogs. And so they're not taking the stand that they could have left the window open. I can't
No,
understand why somebody would leave the window open from outside and do nothing. It
do
makes no
nothing
sense.
exactly. It
At least
sounds
use the bathroom. At least have a bath.
it
Come to
sounds
come.
completely illogical and
Yeah.
it sounds completely classist, where you basically are making assumptions about people just because they come from a different class of people. And
Maybe it's that, but also I think that now the ego is involved, so you can't retract and say, "Oh, maybe we made a mistake." So they're just going on with the bluster they
yeah,
started with.
Also, it
But in all
happens,
this, yeah,
but it happens sometimes that you forget whether you put your window open or not.
yeah.
So it's very possible
no,
that
no,
they
I'm
just forgot.
I'm saying that only. I'm not saying they exactly that they forgot whether they left it open by mistake or whatever. Let's say
Yeah.
that's what really happened. Now they can't backtrack. The ego's involved. You've already sent messages to
Huh.
everybody. Everybody in the WhatsApp is so fake. Oh, how sad. Are you sure? Are you okay? Anything happened to you? These guys, obviously he's okay. Who's gonna harm these people? I mean,
I
Hmm.
mean, like, seriously, is there any damage at all? If there's no damage, then it's time to
nothing.
get on with
Not
your
a
life. Yeah,
rupee. Not a damage of what vagrant. What do you want? Vandalism. None of that. Nothing. Nothing. Nothing.
Hmm.
It's
so we
just
had
open, and that's all we have.
I went to the office on Friday, and there was a similar-ish situation, right, where we have work going on in the office, rebuilding the office, and apparently some part of the fire extinguisher got stolen or something like that. Like,
Amit Verma.
from no,
He
from like
told me
five.
before leaving.
No, nobody has been to the office, but basically it happened on like all five floors or something like that, right? Where there was some nut
Oh,
which was stolen or something like that,
Mhm.
and they came and accused the contractors working at our place. And again, there's no basis of this accusation. They just
and
came
what
and
have they
did it.
stolen?
Some
What is
some part
missing?
of like the fire suppression system, like some
But
copper nut
what would
bolt
that
was there.
cost be to
It's
resell?
apparently pretty expensive. I mean, like each piece is
Then it
like a
makes sense. So
thousand,
they've,
couple of
they've
thousand
taken
bucks.
something. Okay, and they've taken all 6 floors.
Yeah, but again, how do they say that it is the people working at our place?
They can't
On
say
what
that.
basis are they
That
making
Yeah.
this?
we couldn't when
Yeah.
my office got robbed. Even though the only way in was through those things, we
Right.
still couldn't call the workers out on it.
Yeah.
We couldn't because anybody else could climb it as well. I mean, technically, if you're fit enough, you can
Exactly. No,
climb it as
and the
well. So
building
how do you
is
say
not
for sure?
exactly. The building is not shut down, right? I mean, like there are
No,
people going up and down the building. I mean, like
correct.
Yeah.
how do we know
So
this?
you can't do that. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. You
I,
can't do
I
that
I
because you don't have
was
enough proof.
really annoyed to hear that accusations were made, and I was really annoyed about that. I'm like, dude, you can't do like just you can't just do that, right? And there are a whole bunch of other things, right? There is a CCTV coverage, and but people are being like, no, it's too much time to go through all the CCTV. Then I'm like, dude, you can't make an
Wow. What's
accusation
the
without
point?
that.
Yeah.
What's the point of keeping
Uh,
Yeah.
CC cameras?
Yeah.
You know that
Exactly.
day will
uh,
come and you have to go through all the footage to find the person who
yeah.
walked across. That's how it's done. Haven't they seen the
No,
Like
cameras
even the
so
before?
police will
Just
first
learn
ask you
from
for
TV.
CCTV footage. Even the police will
yeah.
first ask you if
No,
you
so
file an
I
FIR
mean,
or
like
something.
I
The
asked
first thing
him
Not
they'll
the
that
do.
made
cost of the police
um,
don't file any FIRs.
yeah.
It must be the way he dresses. Every time he goes in, they're like, get out.
Yeah.
No crime committed.
So I think that's the
All
thing in
good.
India, though. Huh? Like I think every single person can say that throughout, at least over the period of their life, they have some property of theirs broken into or robbed, and that they've also bribed a police officer. I think every single Indian can say that
So when we bribe the
for the
police
most
officer,
part.
you know what happens in even in first world countries, they'll beat the crap out of whoever that person is inside an interrogation until he sort of confesses, and so they'll
Yeah,
get a compromise confession. We don't know how true anything is in all
You
this.
can't believe any
I'm
of that.
you
No, so
can't.
I'm
Right?
talking
Yeah.
about forensic work and skill and actual tangible evidence being brought to your doorstep saying X did it. That is
Hmm.
never going to be for. That's just in the TV shows. It's never going to happen in real life. In real life, everybody gets unless it's huge. the
Yep.
cost to company, no one's going to pursue it. It's so irritating and boring. Fill out forms, wait in a station, talk to people. It's not worth it. And here there's just a window open. But Malwa Hill people are so bored. This lockdown will cause so much psychological damage that this is the event for the day. This is like 1947. We gained independence. Actually, let's move out and celebrate. Let's talk about this. For 4 hours, they're talking about this, but there's nothing that's happened. It's an anti-climax, which has become the
Yep.
final huge moment of the day. It's
It's
ridiculous.
amazing the kind of things that people think. You're right about that. It literally is. I feel like lockdown has become this situation, or during the lockdown, everybody is looking for that. Hey, what is the topic of conversation that we can
Yeah,
talk about, right? And once you find that topic, then you kind of also you basically beat that dead horse
yeah.
until it's like
And you
beyond
understand
dead.
human nature here at play, and I'm saying we're all guilty of this, is that when you're not connected to it directly, it's more fun for you
It
because
is.
there's no pressure. So you want to get really into it and ask all kinds of inane questions and just poke more out of the story than is necessary. And we could just
I
die
feel
a
like
death in three WhatsApp saying, okay, nothing happened, thank God, you're all okay, bye. End it.
I,
See, still
I
going
feel
on.
like I feel like even like politics and friend circles and family circles and stuff like that have taken on like kind of like this added oomph in the last year, right? Where people are like everybody's getting offended by other people. It's like how dare they do this and how can they not do this and what is going on? And I just feel like there's so much more of that going on in the last year than I remember. Maybe it's just that I pay more
Also,
attention to it
Amit,
because I'm also bored, but
but we would make fun of politicians up to say 2014 without thinking left, right, or center, more for the sake of the joke. Being a laugh whore, you just want to joke out of it. It's not even whether you really consciously believe in what you're saying. But now you look at it around the room and see, okay, how are they going to react? And that's a
yeah,
little scary. They're worried about talk
people
about X
are a
or
little
Y.
touchy.
Yeah, too much touchy feeliness in the country. I don't know how that happened, but that fragility of ego has happened recently. It wasn't there before. I think we were
Yeah,
okay.
I have noticed though, Hindus get offended a lot more easily nowadays. Sorry, I'm making it religious or
No,
communal, as
but
you say,
that how can you prove? Because
but
you're around more Hindus, no? You have a
that's
lot of
also
Muslim
true.
Yeah,
friends.
That is
I
also true.
So
You're
think
right. Yes, that's
I
also true.
think
I think if the
anybody.
majority group, that group will react because the majority has that ability to react. The minority in the
I
groups
think
won't react.
if you're orthodox around your religion, then you're going to. It doesn't matter, honestly, Hindu or
Mm.
Christian or Muslim or
Yeah.
Jain, right? I
I
mean,
want to
like
give up religion,
if
guys. I
huh?
want to outlaw it for 5 years. Sorry to interrupt you, Amit. I can't. I'm watching guys like Sam Harris and Ricky Gervais talk about it, and
Mhm.
all the so-called cynical atheists of our day
They're
and
not
age.
cynical.
But they're
They're
making a lot
actually
of
yeah,
sense.
they do.
It's been a lot of sense to me. I mean, Sam Harris said that, of course, and keep in mind, I have Christian blood, so I'm not trying to offend anyone. Uh, that they sit around on a table and then they eat bread and they expect Elvis Presley to come alive. And if you said that, that would be ridiculous. But they do the same thing and expect Jesus to come alive, and then that's not
Mhm.
ridiculous. And then when you think of it that way, this is really silly. You
It
know,
Yeah.
is.
so a lot of religion just, I mean, the most sensible, rational people in the world, people with science degrees and what have you, who think mathematically and clinically, they just suspend their disbelief and then accept this, which, water into wine or,
I don't think that that's universal, right? I think that there are a lot more people who question religion today than there are otherwise, right? And also, I think in India, particularly, excuse me, in India, particularly, I
God is
think religion.
punishing you. Be careful.
Yeah, I
Think
know.
think before you talk. You're already
I am
feeling
being,
the effects.
I'm being
He's
careful. Yeah.
watching, or she, or both of them. Yeah.
No, but I think in India, particularly, what you see is people separate out the devotional aspect of religion and the cultural aspect of religion, right? So there's a lot of culturally religious people. People who go to the
Yeah,
temple,
that's
people
that's
who
a
go
good
to
point. It's
this,
more like a
and
it's more like a discipline. Yeah. That
correct,
you just
rather than
follow.
people who
Yeah.
are like big believers.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that those don't exist; those exist as well. But I feel like in amongst the people like us category, there are many more culturally active religious people than there are
I like the way you
like
put us in a little cloud above everybody else, where we intellectuals will look down upon them and say, "Religious fools! Ha ha! It's just fantasy, you morons!" Silvery,
well,
you were saying something.
I try and say that to as many
No.
people as I can.
Look, I do
That's
this. I let them do what they want to. It doesn't matter to me. But on a forum like this, I'm happy to discuss it. But I don't want to because people are not ready to react in a positive way. So I don't want to talk about this with other people. But you just get into a fight, including my relatives. I'm not saying that you have to go far.
Yeah.
These are people around us. You can't talk to
yeah,
them like this. They'll just get offended. It's ridiculous. But
yeah.
you were saying,
So
No,
I live
I
with
want to hear
my.
we cut him.
No,
Sorry,
no, no. I
uh,
wasn't. I think I was done.
but no, you're talking about why the Hindus were feeling more offended around you. Was there a sorry
No, no,
there or
no.
just
But no, but you're right. Okay, I didn't think of it in the way that I'm just surrounded by more Hindus, so probably that's why I'm seeing Hindus more offended. But
yeah?
but it does seem that way. Like at least when you put on the
Also,
news, it
Silvery,
does seem
there,
there are
there's
more
another
Hindus
thing
shouting.
nobody talks about. You take offense in a public place when someone says something. You take offense in someone you don't know. But if you three of us know each other well enough, we can actually pull each other's leg and not take offense. And that's a hypocrisy, because I
Yeah,
can make
but
fun of Hinduism or you can make fun of Zoroastrianism or what have you, and it doesn't bother us at all because we like the person
again,
enough to not care. But but
again,
but
there
when we
are.
don't know the
Okay,
person, it's almost the person we don't like, and then we're using this as an instrument to attack him. So I feel
yeah.
that's also something people don't explore
There
enough.
are
No, but
people
again,
who
there are
don't like
always people.
religion.
Yeah, and there are always people who can't take jokes. There are just people who
Yeah.
just cannot take jokes and just really get
They've got
offended.
their sacred, they've got their boiling points. Things that they don't insult my mom. It's like that. They've got
Yeah, it's
points
like
which
yeah,
they can't take. They can take
yeah,
certain jokes,
correct.
but no, who's going to give you a menu saying, "Bro, I can take this much." So when you're on stage,
Yeah,
you do these seven and not these three.
but
Which
also
is what
then
we
I
do in
don't get.
corporate shows. I just did one yesterday, so I know
Yeah,
the
I don't
usual
get this is and
nonsense.
this is a thing at comedy shows very often where
Yeah,
you see this often. Like you'll see this where you make fun of like Christianity and everyone is laughing, and you make fun of
yeah.
Hinduism or we make fun of Islam and everyone is laughing, and then you make fun of Hinduism and then some people get like really offended. They were laughing at everything else. Whenever it starts pointing at them, that's when they get offended, and that
And then
Yeah,
the
is also
sad
like
part
not
is,
consistent.
creatively, you've got to make the joke secular. You got to make sure that Amar, Akbar, and Anthony all get screwed. So that, hey man, I'm not picking on
Yeah,
anyone. And I'm thinking, why do you have to
yeah,
do that? The joke is
yeah,
about the joke. It doesn't mean that the whole religion or movement is a waste of time. It's just a joke. Sometimes that's all it is. I don't
yeah,
know why
but I
people
think
try to find Shakespeare in every line.
so. I
Sorry.
think part of it is a part of what you're seeing or part of what you're discussing, right? Is the reactions that we are getting right now from a very polarized kind of space, right? Where everybody believes that their religion or their identity is under attack, and their
mm,
identity is under attack because every identity is under attack in some way, shape, or form, right? But I think that what that does is that kind of just brings this overall feeling of persecution, which is not there, right? I mean, like,
mm,
especially you cannot you if you're an upper class Hindu in India, you are not persecuted, right? You're just
Yeah,
not. I mean, like,
of course not. Yeah.
but at the same time, that feeling is there that there is a persecution complex. If you are a Protestant, a WASP in America, you are not persecuted. But the feeling is that protest
Yeah.
that the white
But they
Christian
are
is
becoming the minority slowly. So you can
well,
understand
yeah,
where they're
but you're
coming from.
still at this point you're not persecuted, right? And I mean, like, you're unlikely to be persecuted. If you're a Jew in Israel, you're not persecuted,
yeah.
right? I
That's
mean,
for
like,
sure.
yeah, no, I mean, like, it's just if you're a majority, if you're the part of a majority, you're not persecuted. But people always do kind of have this feeling that, oh, I mean, like, our religion is under attack, and it's nonsense and it's crazy, but it
Look,
is what it is.
there's a simple solution to all this. Everyone once a year should be the other religion. You should spend 7 days, say as
Mm,
you as a Muslim or a Christian or a Buddhist or Parsi,
mm.
and vice versa. Maybe that way you'll get an introduction to it. I think the more we know people, the more easygoing it is talking about the community.
Listen,
Once you're around,
it's very easy to be a Jain atheist or a atheist from the Jain community because Jains are generally non-violent, so there's no problem. Nobody's going to do
Mm,
anything, right? But I mean,
mm,
like, that's not the case in other communities, and you recognize that. You know that people who come from Islam, who are atheists, or people who come from Catholicism, and especially in, like, countries like Brazil or deeply religious countries, you know that there is a deep amount of
you
persecution
have to
over there.
watch it. Yeah,
Yeah, you have to be
yeah.
very careful about this stuff. So
Eh,
it's
I
a
agree with you, but that's so sad. That's just bullying. At the end of the day, and that just kills all sense of democracy. Because if you're in a country like that and you're the person who doesn't believe in the institution of religion, you still have to follow the rest when the collective is happening. Otherwise they'll catch
yeah,
you. So you're literally doing it out of fear, which is so ridiculous in
it is.
21st century that you do this just for survival and because you want your neighbor to irritate you.
Yeah.
And that's why when they do the flag
But
hoisting or
it
the other things and they
is not
insist on people
just.
coming down, I don't get it. I don't correlate this with nationalism.
I don't get that either, right? I find these. I call them fake, right? I find these fake displays of patriotism,
I think
right?
the lives are
Or
empty. It's lack of meaning in your life, so you
yeah,
cling to all these things and make a big show out of it. I mean, wouldn't it make more sense if you're really patriotic to do things which will like help, say, the underprivileged or
mm,
somebody else in your family? Or those are the things which would endear you to
Okay.
patriotic side of yourself.
So
I would think this.
we're recording this on the 15th of August. How many happy Independence Day messages have you got?
And not the messages. It's now the coloring and all that
Yeah.
that everybody's trying to be creative. I mean,
Yeah.
why? Just do
I
HID
don't know.
or something. Get come on.
Yeah.
I can't,
I'm just
because when they've taken
looking.
that effort, you're like, oh God, you feel I have to reply. Yeah, sorry,
I'm
go on.
looking at this since morning, right? And it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. There are like 20 plus people who I'm not in touch with any of these
Most of the
people.
people I don't know who've
Yeah,
been
these
wishing.
are these are all people who basically are like, let's make sure that we maintain a connection once or twice a year by wishing them for some holiday. And
Mm.
but these are people who I never speak to.
Yeah.
Or just an automated list because the name is not mentioned.
Yeah.
Your name is not mentioned. It's a Happy Independence Day with a
Oh yeah,
big
yeah.
picture.
The 100%. This is like a broadcast list that's
Broadcast.
been created.
Yeah. Yeah.
What happened to the pandemic? I thought we should be celebrating. We should make a big show of every anything. No weddings, limit everything. So everything should be limited, including Independence Day. Why are we making a big celebration? Just survive quietly and wait for the time to be better. Then you can have your big celebration. And besides which, the paradox of celebration and booze not being allowed, still don't understand that. Because otherwise, stop
I,
selling booze. If you believe it's the
Yeah.
bane of our civilization, then just stop selling it. That's it. Should we take a
man,
break, Silvery? You've been
yeah. Let's
talking
take a
Yep.
non-stop,
break.
and yeah.
Sure. Yep.
Okay, here's our break. We come back, and now we discuss topics that we planned because, as usual, we've
Yeah.
been ranting
Can
over.
I just
So there's this. Oh yeah. Yeah.
You want to
come
urinate?
back to the you were talking about booze right before the break, right?
Yes, yes.
Dude, duty free really is very cheap, huh, compared to outside duty free. I didn't
Specifics.
realize.
How much did you spend, and what was it?
I got a bottle of botanist gin for 5,200 rupees, which outside cost 7,500 rupees.
So let's say give or take 25%. That's a decent
Yeah,
buy.
that's a
Yeah,
lot
it
amount
would
of
make
that's
sense
a
to
lot
buy
to
bought two
say.
or three. Yeah,
Yeah, I
they
mean,
don't
like,
allow. You're allowed two.
they allowed two. They allowed 2 liters at most.
Yeah,
That was funny, right? Because on Qatar Airlines, they give you a list of what are the different things in different places, and when you see, like, it was on the website or on the app or something like that, and the preview showed me like 100 liters allowed. I'm like, wait, they don't allow you to buy 100 liters of alcohol. It's a
Hmm.
different no, in different countries, so they have the full list, right? So in different countries, you
who
have
can buy 100 liters of alcohol, bro?
there are other countries where you can buy up to 100 liters of alcohol.
How will
It
you
basically
transfer
means
100 liters of on your
Yeah.
body?
it's basically unlimited. You can buy as much as you want, right? That the
Or you
idea is
just
that is
drink? You drink it all and then leave. What?
no,
100 liters?
I think the idea is that you can buy as much as you want to for personal consumption, right? Nobody is buying anything more than anything more than 5 liters or 10 liters is no longer personal, right?
I
Then you're
got two
buying for
messages
business while
as
we are
you
waiting.
spoke. Like more Independence Day messages.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, really.
I just I don't understand people who do this. I just don't get it.
So
Yeah,
we yeah. Please go ahead, Cyrus.
no. You say.
No, I'm saying like I wanted to talk more about this houses being broken into. I
Yeah,
wanted to ask like, have your I know Cyrus, your office has been broken into
yeah.
before. Yeah.
But
So
that
before that, have you had
just
other
to
instances?
specify. But Sylvie, I'll tell you. But before that, let me just say, when we entered in the morning at 8:20 in the morning, there was glass on the floor. It was shattered. The computer was thrown. His hard
Oh damn.
desk was on its back, but it was untouched. Thank God, because they
Yeah.
tried to pull it out, and the drawers were open. All the open drawers had been left open. They didn't bother to shut it. So if you ever see that, you actually your heart, you get like it's like a
Yeah.
slap in the face.
What if they're still
Uh,
there, right? You when you're
no,
entering, what if
not
they're still
that,
there?
not that.
Like that
Just
kind of.
oh God, you just feel a little humiliated, bro. That they've robbed
Oh.
you. Someone's robbed you, and there's nothing in
Hmm.
my office really of any value. But you just feel bad. It's a bad feeling. It's not a good feeling from
Yeah.
any angle.
Maybe they got
So
into your pawn collection. They're like, oh shit, you don't want that.
my dad's pawn collection because I don't keep anything there. But the sad part is that this case there's just a window open and nothing else. There's no need for the ego to take such a beating.
Yeah.
We had a sense of loss that day. We felt bad even though we
Yeah.
realized nothing was taken in the end. But you felt victimized in a sense and you felt a little bad and scared. Here I don't know what the problem was. It's just like the people are bored and they want to talk about something and not to show lack of empathy,
It
but
really
that's it.
does feel like that. It really does feel like that, right? Because I
Yeah.
mean, if nothing is missing, then I mean, like, it feels like to start just like worrying about it just if nothing is missing, what are you
Yeah.
complaining
Amit, I'll
about?
tell you
Yeah.
something.
You start
If
thinking,
they
well,
want to rob you in
are
urban
my
Mumbai,
things
I don't know
not
about
good
Powai
enough?
because
That's what
Powai,
you're thinking.
Powai is different. I think it's a little safer from what I saw yesterday.
Hmm.
But for
Oh yeah.
most of us in South Bombay, in these small buildings that we live in, 8, 10
Yeah,
floors, etc., they can easily enter anyway.
yeah,
Really, it is a big problem. If they want to, they can.
Yeah.
What is our security and all? We don't have Mossad
Our
standing down with
security
guns. Come
is
on, man. The guy's fast asleep at
it's
2, 3, and I don't blame him.
yeah, it's just a dude sitting there, right? I mean, like at the end of the
Yeah.
day, that's what our security is. It's
When I
just
was younger, I would have been able. 15 years ago, I would have climbed these ladder things
yeah,
myself. It's not a big
yeah.
deal. You'll be able to get yourself up, and this is the first
Agree.
floor. So what the hell? He's not. He's a Kunal Vijayakar among
Yeah.
thieves. He said, "I'll do the first floor, yaar. Second ke upar jata nahi."
So you're talking about
And
Powai, like how Powai is safer, but not
Powai
really.
looked, but you
Yeah,
had a
it looks safer.
all the buildings had a opening height thing before the first
Correct.
floor, which again
Correct.
makes the
So
first floor only difficult.
I know what you're talking about. I know the building you're talking about. You're talking about the Vadhwa building, I think. The one that is
I can't
opposite
remember
the
the
lake,
names.
right in the
Yeah,
center. You can see it opposite the lake.
Mhm.
And in the lockdown, like I think I want to say June of last year in 2020, there was a news report that was covered like 2 or 3 days. It was every day in the paper, where on the Vadhwa building, it's like a more than like about a 30-floor building. Okay, the seventh floor of the building, a robber had climbed up to the seventh floor of the building and gone into the house. And I don't remember if he stole something or not, but then he just ran away. But he was
Yeah.
never caught. But someone can actually climb without any scaffoldings and all.
but why
He
did
was
he
just
choose the
actually
seventh floor?
scaling
No,
the building.
he must have done a recce and all before that.
Yeah,
I,
must
I,
Why
I
have,
choose?
imagine
must
so. Yes, definitely. Yeah,
Why would you
I
just go
think
must
so.
into
have.
to recklessly just start climbing and say, "I'll try this one, I'll try that one"? I don't
No,
think
no,
that
no,
makes
no.
sense.
I think he
Yeah,
saw an open window, or I don't know. I don't remember the details right now, but I remember this happened, and we were like, "What? How can you just scale a building, seventh floor of a building? That is
No,
yet
crazy."
then,
it's
Silvery, when I come to that building, they make me write my name and give my mobile number
Yeah,
and my purpose of visit.
he
And
wanted to
what
avoid
the
that,
hell?
huh?
Yeah,
Right,
I'm a
yeah,
smart guy.
yeah,
I
yeah.
hate that. I can't bear that.
I
Every day,
agree.
every
Actually, yeah,
Thursday
you're
in
right.
CNBC, I sign my name as Mr. Madhar Chod, Mr. Ben C. Chud. I mean, I do all this. This makes any difference. I mean, yeah,
Do
no,
you
all
sign
so
your
this.
actual sign, by the
I
way, when
write
you
in
enter those?
Devanagari, but English names. Like, yeah, so I write like Superman in Hindi, or Batman in Hindi, or even your mother in Hindi. I've written like your yar madar. And he says thank you, sir, and I sign it also. And it's simple pleasures here. What to do? Because I
That
can't
is-
accept this corporate crap. It makes no sense to me. What are you going to do with this information? I don't understand
yeah.
well,
it.
sell it.
Yeah, but then so Batman was here in short pants,
No, no.
looking a
It's
little looking a
if
little
something
flabby.
happens, that's the thing. No, if something happens, something gets stolen, then they have your contact information.
They
I
don't.
think that's
I
what it is.
always give Kunal's number. I hope he
Yeah,
doesn't see
now
this
they
show.
don't. Yeah.
Always give Kunal's number. Restaurants, if they ask, I give Kunal's number. This is my Maya laughs so much when we do
Hilarious.
it because she knows when they say, "Sir, can you have your contact number?" Straight away, yes, of course. Imagine bloody Calcutta,
It's
he'll get a
hilarious,
call.
man.
You were here recently. We just want to tell you that we've got a new deal going through. If you're interested, those are fun things in life. Yeah,
So,
yeah. But
Amit, have you ever had your house broken into by any chance?
I've never had my house broken into, but I have been stolen from, which is not a great feeling.
Hmm.
So we had a
from the
guy
office,
who, no, at home only, like, one of our,
oh, the
this
internal
was
stuff. Huh.
the internal stuff, like, household stuff. This was a long time ago. This was like maybe in 2002, 2003 types.
Oh,
But basically, what he would do is, well, I'm careful with my wallet, but I'm not like super careful with my wallet. And
You, even the best will be caught out by the internal staff because you're going to have moments
yeah,
where you forget or it's left somewhere.
exactly.
There's
And
nobody who will give you 100% record of locking it and keeping the key with him.
if you have $1,000 in your wallet and somebody takes $100 out of it, you're not really going to realize that, right? I mean,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
that's an
yeah,
art. That's beautiful.
yeah.
If they can
Hmm.
find the right sum where you don't feel pinched, so you let it
Yeah.
go.
No, and so this happened to me, and then basically, I think what wound up happening at one point is he had put all the money that he had stolen over time into like a place
Oh,
in in the house itself, and there was some cleaning or something happening, which for whatever reason that guy was not aware of, and
And everything
when the
came out.
cleaning
Yeah.
happened, and then like
so
you
for your mom, it
started.
must have been a happy day initially. It was like, can you believe it? We have left money here and it's well gone.
No, no,
So
it
was it
was
just money though, or was it
no,
like
it
other
wasn't
things
just. It
also?
was other things too. It wasn't just money, but it was like
But
small stuff,
this
right?
guy's a cunning guy, huh? Because
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
worked
yeah,
on a scheme which I sort of respect.
yeah,
He's realized I'll just take a bit from the top so you don't feel
yeah,
it too much.
yeah.
It's that principle where
And
hafta
you never
works. If you
realized,
can
dude, Cyrus.
take
I
the
did
right
not
amount.
realize. I never realized I was being stolen from because again, it's like less than a like at that
I
point in
think
time, a pack of cigarettes was like $80 or something like that, right? So it's like the cost of a pack of cigarettes that's going out of your wallet every 3 days. You don't realize it.
Hmm.
Skimming is an art.
True.
Skimming
Yeah.
is different from stealing. It's from the same family, but it's different.
No, but so
I would do
I
that if
actually
I was
I
a thief.
so that was something that used to happen in our office, but I never complained about that, right? In my older
In the
office,
office,
so in the older office, basically,
skimming,
I would you'd give money for a sandwich, and 3 rupees extra would
it
be
wouldn't come
charged.
back. Yeah.
Yeah, and I and that I never bothered with, right? Because
No,
again,
but the
that's like
problem with
fine,
that
whatever.
is if you don't check it, it gets bigger. So the
Well,
50
yeah,
rupee sandwich that you give in and 10 bucks swallowed on that one, then
yeah.
with the 1,000 rupee one, 100 bucks gets swallowed, and it just spirals from there.
Well, so that's why
So
you have to be a
I don't
little
like that
kind of.
kind of thing.
I'm not a
This
fan of it.
exploitation. I mean,
Yeah,
because
but
it's a sign of weakness also. In the end of the day, if you were
it
Sicilian
is.
Amit, his parents would have been killed, his kids would have been taken away and never seen again,
Yeah,
and
but
his
I'm
body
not
would
a
have been found in
Sicilian
four
man.
different areas of Bombay. But you're not
Yeah,
Sicilian, and this is the sad part.
I know, but again, in my mind, it was just like, if somebody was coming to give me a sandwich, would I not give him a 3 rupee tip? If it's a 20 rupee sandwich, if it was a 17
You'll
rupee
keep the
sandwich and
change.
he was coming,
Yeah.
I'd let him give the 20, right?
He has
So
Yeah.
I
to
was
tell
just like,
you,
I was
it's not
okay
his
with it.
money to give. This is not jugaad. This is proper thieving for me.
Yeah, it
This is
is.
not a gray area for me. He has
It
to
is.
tell you, मैंने 3 रुपए दे दिए उनको. If he
Oh,
says that and you're okay with it, fine, because the
yeah,
transaction is your money, his service, and that's how it works.
yeah,
He
you're
can't
right.
make the decision for you because
You're
you're
not
now not
wrong.
saying anything exactly like your robber, but because the guy is taking just a small amount, it's just not worth your while. But it's a principle. The
You're not
principle is
wrong
important.
about it.
My son took five
But
hundred bucks from
why?
my sorry, go on.
Huh? No, no, tell me. This
No,
is
I'm
much
gonna
more
say my son took
interesting.
500 bucks from my grandmom, and then went and asked for my mom for my wife. I shouldn't mistake the two. Awkward moment. Stop there. 500 bucks from her, and didn't tell the other that. So
Oh, nice. I've done
yeah.
that. I've done that.
So
Yeah,
now
yeah.
then when they sort of had a thing about where did you eat and whatever, how much did it come to, and then my grandmom said, my mom said, oh God, this is too much, man. That's rubbish. My mother, his grandmother said, "Did you bring any change back?" And he started, yeah, whatever, very
Oh,
little,
yes.
something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Then and Aisha said, "What change? I gave you money." And then he had this, my son played it superbly. He had this quizzical look on his face, like, "What?
Huh?
I don't remember. Like, what? What? Who gave me money?" But yeah. So Zero, you've done this,
Hilarious.
right? You go to one
Yeah,
source,
yeah.
you go to the other source. So I don't know. This is more jugaad. This is
Yeah,
more
yeah.
jugaad than
Exactly.
thieving. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you leave 1,000 bucks. You've not said, "Okay, I'm only taking money from you." You've
Yeah.
never given that line,
Exactly.
"Okay, I will only
Yeah.
take this money and no other money."
Yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah,
That's the gray area. Yeah, you don't
that's the gray
you
area.
don't you
So
don't
I'll
yeah,
allow
you
that
don't make it
because
clear. Yeah, exactly.
the contract is clear.
Yeah.
But in this case,
I,
they can't eat the money that he gives out because the other day it's a 50,000 rupee thing which he's gone to spend and he puts 2,500 away. Then it starts pinching you. Right? It's not right.
Yeah, that's true.
So
No, that's true. That's
you
true.
want my boys to take care of him?
No, it's okay. Because again, the thing is that I felt like I knew what
Boys
was
are his
going on.
boys. Huh.
yeah.
No, but
Sorry.
I felt like I knew what was going on over here, right? So I kind of made my peace with it, and I just would not give them extra, like big stuff. I would spend directly, which is why
But
I'm
why
a
won't you
big
be
believer in
confrontational, Amit? You're quite straightforward. Why won't you confrontational with him? You felt
because
bad to bring it up.
no, it's a couple of bucks, man. I mean, like at the end of it, it was
You
a
felt
couple of
bad
bucks.
getting into a bad mood over a couple of bucks.
Yeah, and also, I mean, like it makes no difference to my life. It made a difference to his life. If it does, and I mean, like for a couple of bucks, I didn't want to argue. He was like, it didn't feel.
Yeah, but I don't like forced charity. This is wrong.
I get what you're
The
saying,
charity
Cyrus,
should
but
come from you. You give your charity. Do your charity
you,
however
you
you want to. Give whatever money you want to whoever you want to.
you're not
But
wrong. You're not
this
wrong at
is
all.
this is
Okay,
more like exploitative charity. And it's not right.
you're not wrong, but again, if we're talking about like 300 rupees a month, I mean, like, is that really worth getting into my brain over? I mean, like,
Yeah.
let it
Or
go.
spending a podcast discussing and not getting your mother, grandmother, and wife's names correct. Yeah, you're right. I accept that completely. But I once had a fight with a beggar at Hajali because I gave $5, a $5 coin, and he said, "Ye itna," like both
Oh,
Kame kind of
Oh wow.
expression, itna.
Ah,
So I
yeah.
said, "2 rupiya chahiye." So he said, "Ha, thinking I'm giving $2 more." I took the five and gave it to him. So that's it. I'm not getting involved with this nonsense. You don't want it, then that's it. This is what I can give. Don't give him
Hilarious.
judgmental stuff after asking for money is a
Yeah.
little too much. I'm not saying I
Yeah.
own you or something, but I'm saying I'm giving you what I can give you.
yeah.
It can't be
No,
out of hand.
ungratefulness is not pleasant. I get that, right? I mean, like, if you're doing something for somebody and you want,
It's not even ungrateful. I'm saying, why are you questioning? You want
Yeah.
money? We give you money. You don't tell me how much money you want. You're a
No,
gangster then.
charity is not to be demanded. Charity is to be done. I understand that. I get that. But I don't know. I just didn't feel like it. Just I don't know why. Right. I mean, like you're right. Normally, I don't let this kind of stuff go. Right. I mean, like right now, believe me, the guys who are making our studios are not
With
happy with me.
Amazon, you'll fight tooth and nail.
I'm
Over
fighting
108
everything, right? Right.
rupees.
Yeah, no, no. So like this studio stuff we're doing right now, I'm like, why is this costing this much? Why are we not spending over here? Give me this. Give me the account of this. I'm really on the case about this stuff, right? But at the same time, on this, like the guy who was doing the sandwich buying for me, I was just like, fuck it, it's okay.
He'll rise to be
I
vice
don't know
president.
what the difference is.
No, the difference is that it's just not worth your while, and you feel a little guilty because he's a poor guy. There's a lot of prejudices that actually reverse prejudices, which are also prejudices, which we have,
Hmm. Yeah,
in a sense, because you're always being patronizing without knowing it.
yeah,
You're saying,
that's true.
"Oh, of
That's
course, John
true. I mean, like,
Goldsworthy
why
said
would
there."
I not hold them to the same standard of honesty that I expect other people to hold to? That's a
That
good
is the
point.
essence of secularism and
It's a good
egalitarian
point.
thinking. It is
It's a
also
good
that
point.
we only think from the top down. We never think from that
Yeah,
there is no top and down. Yeah.
Hmm.
that's a good
That's why
point.
my wife tells me, don't
Which
shout
is,
at him. He's a poor man. I mean, what do you mean? He broke the signal, came up the one way
yeah.
because I have to look at his class, his bank balance, and then shout at him. What sense does that make?
Well, I guess you get the
I think
sandwich
that,
while on Swiggy now, so I guess maybe now that's no longer an issue. So,
yeah, but my worry is that it breeds more corruption and that guy gets
yeah,
worse
it does. It
because you
does.
start taking it and you don't get any repercussion. Isn't that why you do things?
It
I used
becomes
to pitch
part of
girls as,
the
oh, better not mention.
expectation.
Hmm. Yeah.
No, it's part of the expectation now. The assumption is that I can do this. So I guess that's not cool.
I'm
Yeah.
very clear when people force charity on me. I say I do things for animals. I do things with WSD. I do whatever I do for any animals whenever I can. I'll do that, and that's it. I don't have more charity in me. This is what I've exhausted it. That's all I have. I may do things for children, but I will not do things for adult humans. Whatever
Hmm.
happens, I just refuse to. I don't find the
Yeah,
reason to.
yeah, it's
But
interesting,
that
right?
you're yeah. Go on,
No, I mean,
please.
like, that you're not the only one who feels like that, right? I mean, like, I've heard that from a number of people that I'll do stuff for kids, like, kids' charities I'll support, right? Because kids don't really have this, but I'm not really interested in, and honestly, I feel like that sometimes too, right? I'm not going to name names, right? But there is a person who my mom likes to support, right? And I'm just like, that dude should get a job, right? I mean, like, no, I
Yeah,
mean, he's an
Now, what is this
educated
person like?
guy.
Oh,
So
like a
uh,
known
he's a
personality?
fallen guy. Okay, so a fallen guy who
no,
you want to help, and then what
yeah,
happens is the
plus
fallen guy doesn't pick himself up.
so
I
this
mean, we
guy
could
is
all be fallen
basically
guys.
he works for a temple kind of thing, like, and basically the people at the temple don't pay him a living salary, and I'm like, okay, so then
Oh,
go work somewhere else, right?
yeah.
I mean, like, if you're not
Yeah.
getting paid a
This comes
living
back to
wage,
our discussion on religion because he's
yeah,
supposed to get direct payment from God. You can't
yeah.
blame the temples. They're like, God, God का काम भगवान का काम कर रहा है तो पूछो आगे. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm okay with
It's
it.
just again, this is the one that like I don't mind when my mom wants to do religious charity and stuff like that, right? But this one drives me a little insane because I'm just like, this dude should get a job, right? I
Or the
mean, like
temples
he's
should be paying their employees better.
Why is
no,
These guys
he
are
oh,
not
there at the
a
paying?
temple
living
I
all
mean,
day,
if
every
wage,
he's in
day.
the
yeah.
temple, why is he not getting paid?
Yeah,
Well,
that's
he's
what.
getting paid, but he's getting paid a number which is
Nuts.
not, it's not sufficient to live in, right? I mean, and it's
And the
just like,
temple must make so much money
I
through
know,
donations, like so much. It
I
is
know, but then
crazy, and they
the
can't even pay
problem
a
is
livable salary.
the issue becomes this, right, that there are so many of these quasi religious people who don't want to, like, who want to spend their time in doing religious stuff, right? And this is what this guy is, right? His thing is that
Hmm.
I want my work to be around religious things. I want to do good in the religious space. But I'm just like, dude, if you're not getting paid
So he's
properly by the
propped up by a
place,
lot
go
of
get another.
people. Amit, he's not propped up by your mom. He's propped up by a lot
Hmm.
of people who donate money to
I
help
think a
him.
couple of people probably do. I don't think it's that much also because and again the amounts aren't huge, but I mean like they're significant, right? I mean like, and I don't know, man. I just it, it it in my mind it's just like I would rather that we spend this 50-60 grand a year on, like, give it to
So is he
UNICEF
paying
for,
tax? 60 grand a year is 5 grand a month.
yeah.
No, he doesn't pay tax. He's under the tax
Hmm?
bracket.
No, no, that's what we give him. No, and in addition to that, the temple gives
Oh,
him a salary. In
we're
addition to
giving him
that,
cash. I'm
yeah.
liking this job. I'm thinking maybe I should
No,
stand and say, what mandir is
I don't
this?
do cash. I listen. That's my one thing. I don't do cash for anybody. You want
You
money
want
from
him
me?
to
You take
file
it.
returns? This
Yeah,
poor
dude. You
guy.
take it from me in the bank. No, I will not do that. I'm not giving you cash. I'm like, basically, you want to do this kind of jazz. I'm not giving you
I
cash.
I would, if I had more money, I would give people money. People like this, who your mom is, propping up a little bit, I would happily give them money just to irritate them and make them file, because that will destroy their mindset for the rest of their lives. Every year, go and file. You're just above the tax bracket. You have to pay now. Damn you.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Anyway,
but
not to
I
point
just
fingers at
I don't.
people who do all this, Amit. Honestly, not to point fingers.
Huh.
People do what they should do. I don't think you should be held accountable. If that's what you, she's drinking beer in the background. This is my actual opinion. You can talk about religion all you want. There's some people like Aisha and me who just it goes boing off our head. Yeah,
She's
I'm
doing
just saying,
cheers. Sorry, cheers, cheers, Asha, cheers.
yeah. Cheers, cheers. As the Parsis say, cheers and tables available at discounted rates. But this is an emotive thing to some extent. So I'm saying leave it if you want. If someone wants to do it, it's their problem. You
No,
can look at
listen,
it,
my
but
mom doesn't
it's
ask
their
me.
thing.
My mom
Look,
is very kind of like, this. She doesn't like push on a lot of things. She wants to help this guy, so I do it every year. But it's
look,
the one thing that she does, and we do a lot of. She does a lot of
Amit, we're
religious things,
human.
right?
No, I'm not taking your side blindly. I'm saying we're human, and there's all of us have our areas where we can get, like, you let the ₹3 go. You felt bad
Yeah,
for that guy. Maybe it was his hairstyle, just or way he smiles at you or blows kisses. I don't know. But if I see a beggar with a puppy, for example, these kind of scenes, and I definitely become more easy to squeeze money out of.
yeah,
So
I guess that's true.
everybody has things. When you see kids coming to the thing, you really feel guilty when they're like 8, 10-year-old kids who are coming to your window, and that's why we
Yeah.
keep biscuits, which are basically expired 2 years ago and caused stomach upsets, just for those bloody kids to get rid of them. So I'm just kidding. Sylvie, don't smile evilly. I'm sure you thought of the same thing. 3 days. See, the problem with the foreigners, I have a foreigner brother-in-law who's American. The thing is that they can't, like the Buddha in the early years, these sites really, they break you. So they're wondering, I mean, how
They
can
do.
this guy be there, frail looking with a thing, and how can he not listening to music we're driving by? How come but he doesn't understand. The first time we were all hit, and the
Yep.
second time, perhaps the third time, but by the 117th time we are like, rock the music,
Yeah.
darling, ding 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 ding, and he's begging paisa dena, you're like, yeah, well, buzz off.
You make
But
your
Yeah,
that's
peace
the way
with
it
this
is.
stuff, right? You have no
You make
choice
your
yeah,
but to make
peace.
your peace with it. Yeah.
No.
that's true.
Yeah, I actually enjoy it. I like to go where the beggars are, and I blow my horn and I say, "Cyrus, watch," because I don't own one. But I'm sorry, we'll edit that. That was horrible. That was so mean. Yeah. So
All
quickly, shall
right.
we take question? Bro, it's
Yeah.
nearly an
Let's
hour.
let's do some AMAs. Yes.
Yep, sure.
Uh,
Yeah, all right. The first one comes in from Lewis Thomas Olakengal. Lewis Thomas Olakengal. So yeah. He says, "Hi
okay.
guys, sorry to hear about the YouTube ban and the ransomware attack. In my opinion, I feel you get attacked more if you are on if you are on Bitcoin exchanges rather than on pawn sites. I rather feel Antariksh would have been on some Bitcoin exchange from where this attack must have come. He can throw some light on it though. I don't think it was
Well,
a Bitcoin exchange, man. I
we
think it
did
was,
dabble, and he's probably a regular listener. Then
yeah. So the
just put two
Bitcoin,
and two together.
the only Bitcoin exchange I use is CoinSwitch, and I don't think CoinSwitch
Conscious
is.
Kuber, what
Point
have you
Yeah,
Swiss
yeah.
seen those
Kuber.
ads?
CoinSwitch
You see
Kuber,
those
Point Swiss
ads?
like
Kuber.
our,
Also
yes,
sponsors of our
also sponsors.
wonderful new show about crypto.
Yes, with Rohan
Oh, is it?
Joshi.
In the meantime,
Yes.
did you see the leading model in the ads?
I did see the peacock dance.
Oh,
Yeah.
and then there's an even better one where he plays Dorothy from The Wiz. Yeah.
Oh, really?
So,
Okay, I haven't seen
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Oh, the humiliation is complete. You
Nice.
you pay
Interesting.
for your crypto. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. All right.
but-
Let's
That's
answer the
so
question though.
yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think it was through CoinSwitch Kuber that I got hacked. I think it was through the ransomware only. And
no, the
actually, actually,
ransomware probably happened through weird streaming.
yeah,
So
uh,
what happens when you stream now?
possibly.
You're
That's
allowing
what I
stuff
checked. You're
to
right.
work
Yeah, yeah,
on your computer, right?
yeah.
Which is why if you're to do this is my advice to people who want to go to dodgy sites to get dodgy content. Go
Hmm.
to a torrent site and download the file, because then you run the file through a piece of software like VLC player or something like that, which is
Hmm.
unlikely to run bad code on your
So
computer.
you cleanse the instrument, so
Yeah,
to speak,
that's
and
true.
then put it up. But
You basically you put it in like this, you touch it with gloves, and then you bring it to your computer, rather than just like going in and putting it straight into your mouth, if
this is
that
Yeah.
getting
makes
more
sense.
confusing. I was
Yeah,
better
it
with
does.
it before. Beautiful. Okay. Next one.
All right. This one. Okay. One second. There are very few questions, so I'm just gonna try and
We have no
speed
Okay.
up a
time.
bit.
I'm happy to stop. But so are the listeners. So you should do a chat just now, like that fake chat you did with contest you did with Kunal. I mean, simply use your head. I bully Kunal. Obviously, everyone's going to take his side. That's what happens in public all the time. they always take his side because they feel bad for him. You always feel bad for the the dumb guy with the bully guy. That's the way it
Okay,
works.
if you have no further questions,
Yeah,
Kunal, sorry, Antriksh,
Antariksh. Yeah.
Calling him Kunal.
yeah, I
He's
called him
70
Kunal by
kilos.
mistake because you were just talking about Kunal and
Yes,
you were
sorry,
talking
sorry.
about
Yeah,
bullying, and it seemed to me like you were bullying
yeah.
Antriksh a little bit right now. So I
I
thought,
can't
let me
bully
jump in.
Antariksh.
Okay,
Antariksh
I
just
have
Why?
does
one.
this whole reverse patronizing with me. You know
Oh,
what? He's abusing me
uh,
in his head all the time. Huh,
No,
we
bolo?
no
had
worries.
the sorry. You have a question, then go for it.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
I
we
do.
had that
I
other
do.
topic that we could kind of
I do.
touch on at the end. Yeah.
I have a question. It says Amog Sharma. Hi Cyrus, Amit, Antariksh, and guest. There's no guest. He says, I've always
There
wondered
is.
why does it I've always wondered
All
why does
right.
it seem like it's easier for actors to play older characters than characters younger than themselves? Or is this just a misconception I have? What do you think is harder?
Hey, brother, it's much more easy to age, both with makeup and actually. And it's far more difficult to go the other reverse way. He's absolutely right. What is
Yeah.
that, Benjamin Button? It's the only example I can think of, actually.
No, but
You
Shah Rukh
basically.
Khan plays college students all the time. I think that also works.
Yeah, but that's not
School
Shah
It
Rukh
students.
Khan.
doesn't
Amir
That's
though,
Khan,
all the
does it?
Amir
heroes.
Khan's entire career is basically spent in schools and colleges.
But
But
He's
does
Amir,
it
worked.
work?
great
Does
actor
it
because
really?
And the Three Idiots,
look,
I bought it.
Amit. It's also because when
Like,
they're not very tall, it makes sense to cast you in a college film. Also,
okay,
all these
yes,
Okay.
true,
things
true,
make
yes,
sense.
true.
But
Yeah,
you're right. Up to the 2000s, early 2000s, there were too much of that. They can't be sitting in a college bench. They're actually 39 or
Yeah.
41 at that point, and yeah. And but the extras are worse. They don't even have extras. Why? At least the extras should be 18, 19, right? The extras, you can see this guy who's had three children.
Yeah.
One of the kids is about to graduate. I mean, you can see that. In the South as well. I've seen so many films where the extras just look so old for college. I'm
Mhm.
like, really? You couldn't find guys who are 18, 19 and pay them the same amount, 2000 a day or whatever you do?
yeah.
It's really
Yeah.
strange.
Also, I think actors in I mean, like when you're trying to be somebody, or when you're trying to play somebody 15 years younger than you, you kind of get into this fake space, right? Where you're doing like you try and act young, right? And that just it looks
But
awful.
act young, and the first thing that happens is your energy level should go up, right? And in
Yeah.
trying to do that, they go all over the place because it just
Yeah.
becomes like a real parody.
Uh,
You're trying to get
uh,
more youth juice in you, so to speak, and that just I don't know. I don't want to criticize them. It's not their fault. Somebody
in
else
the
comes up
80s
with this
and
idea that
90s, right? I would say that there was a lot of like, hey man, I mean, like a lot of that kind of stuff was there when
Hmm,
people were acting like they were in college because they had to
yeah.
pretend that they were much younger, right? I'm sure that there are similar kinds of things going on right now in that
they
sense.
always had guys in the frame in the 90s who would wear those jumpers. What are those things called? The mechanic thing
Jumpsuits.
across
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
jumpsuits.
yeah,
They always had those in the. And
the pant,
I've
this
never
thing,
seen a
yeah.
guy in a
yeah, yeah,
jumpsuit in
yeah.
college in Bombay. I'm like, who wears that?
Ever,
Nobody wears
never.
that.
Yeah.
But all
Overalls.
of these films would have, yeah, overalls, they all have that. My wife has that, but she's a painter. It was more like some.
Yeah.
Okay, now she's screaming. Stop screaming. I said we're adults having a civilized conversation. Don't. They'll call me sexist, and I don't want that label. Okay, I'm already. I have enough labels. You're not ready for
So
Okay.
fashion. You married me. You can't be ready for fashion. You've taken a dive
Uh,
in fashion. I'm
but
sorry. I'm having a second podcast. It's more fun. Yeah.
so
but
I
jumpsuits and
sorry,
pedal
please.
pushers. Do you guys remember pedal pushers? Those used to be the things, right? Again, in the 80s, that they would. That's the demonstration that you're in college, where you're wearing like those pants which only come up to your knees.
I I have a theory. My theory is that directors, producers, and people like that who make the film, especially in the 80s and 90s, they grew up in the 60s and 70s. So
Yep.
the idea of college is 60s and 70s. And then
Yeah.
the film comes out in the late 90s, and the guy's wearing 1960 clothes from American films that he's seen.
Yeah.
And then you're
Hmm.
like, what? Because we were in college and we're looking
Eh,
around, and none of these
And
people look anything like that.
Yeah,
nobody was wearing white jeans and sweaters, which is
No!
what you would
You
see in
see
college,
yeah.
which is what
this
was the college people would look
Mumbai
like.
college, oh my God. I mean, that'd be, oof.
Also, I think
That'd
you
be
were talking about suspenders, right? When you were just trying to describe
suspenders.
that
That
suspenders. That's the
thing,
word. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Correct, correct, correct. Yeah, yeah, correct.
No, but even
Yeah,
overalls,
pants.
right? Overalls were a big
It's the
kind
same
of
thing. They're
thing
close
that.
enough. Yeah.
Well, no, no. Suspenders are the things that are just the pants, right? And the
Yeah,
overalls are
Which
the
are
full one
attached, and
piece.
overalls
yeah.
are already there one piece, but it's
Yeah,
the
the
same
one piece.
concept.
Yeah.
Now you don't
No.
see people
Yeah.
in junior college wearing that. You maybe at a
Nobody.
fancy dress party.
It's like in school, like in preschool. I think my mother used
I
to
don't.
make me wear it. I
I
think.
don't
But in
feel like I've ever
preschool,
seen
nothing counts,
anybody
bro,
wear
because
those in. Yeah.
Yeah,
your parents buy things for you or take things from the elder relative or whatever, and I mean, I mean, I wore my sister's clothes till I was 21.
But I
And
don't
then
think I've ever.
I outgrew her in a matter of
Have,
speaking.
have you
So
guys ever seen anybody wear? I've seen people wear suspenders in real life, right?
Hmm.
You wear them under suits and stuff like that, but I've never seen a person wear overalls in real life. Like I can't think of one.
my wife.
But again,
I
as a
can't
paint,
think.
as a painting thing, right? As part of like the dress
Yeah,
for when
yeah,
she's
yeah, yeah.
going to when she's working with
It's a
paints.
practical thing, but then it also extended into a couple of better versions to be worn here and there. But I
Ah,
don't want to
okay.
get sexist about it. But females can carry these things off, I think. With
Female.
men,
Okay, have
Yeah,
you ever seen a man wear? Because female fashion is
no,
different.
less so.
no. But I've
Yeah.
seen them in the films. I mean, they're Sunny Deol's best friend is this guy with a lollipop in his mouth, and I'm like, and I mean, he's a quintessential collegian. I mean, where did they find him? All
Sunny
right,
Deol's coming out in a new movie, being produced by a friend of mine. So yes,
Wow.
excited.
So
Um,
let's
we
get him on
were
the podcast.
huh?
let's get him on the
Let's get
podcast.
him on
Yeah,
the podcast.
we will definitely try to get him on the
We
podcast.
will try
Yes.
and get him on the podcast. Yes, for sure.
He's
Yep.
an early morning
Absolutely.
guy. He gets up early. We do it at 6.
We'll do the we stream at 6.
Kidding, just kidding.
Okay.
Last gets
So we were talking about actors playing actors, older characters, and Anupam Kher famously in like at the age of like 25, 26 or something, played a 60-year-old in a movie. In his, I think one of his first acting roles was Saransh. In Saransh, he played like a
he
60-year-old,
won the
and he got a
national
film for
award for
award for that.
Correct,
Yeah,
correct,
some
yeah.
national award for that. So I did Anupam Kher's actor repairs. I did an acting course, diploma course from Anupam Kher's actor repairs, and love Anupam Kher in the sense like he's a fantastic actor for sure. But one thing he loves to bring up again and again is Saransh. Okay, so like in every he gave us like 4 or 5 lectures over the course of like 3 months. Okay, like that we got with Anupam Kher,
In
and
person,
he would
yeah.
always bring up Saransh. He would like find a way to like mention Saransh or like oh उस picture में जो मैंने काम किया था no. So I think that's like a thing that he
He-
does.
He's
In
proud of that. There are two,
very
three
proud of
things one
that.
is proud of in
But
your
he's done
life.
so many things.
First,
He's done like 200 films, but
but
he's still
he's
talking
done
about it first.
he's done a lot of films where he was going from set to set also and playing, the hashy
Yeah,
characters.
yeah.
He doesn't want
Like
to pretend.
in the 90s, there's
So
like almost no movie that
this
Anupam
thing in
Kher
a
is
doctor
not in.
hospital, then
Yeah.
it turns out he's
Yeah,
the villain's this thing in some other. Those
yeah,
were
yeah.
That's just purely for money because
Of course, yeah. Fair enough.
I'm okay with the Saranj thing. I mean, it was one of his better performances, so he talks about it.
It was
But
also his
but
first
sometimes I
one, no?
think the
I
whole
think
I
thing.
think this is his very first. Yeah, if I'm not
But
wrong.
the
it might
thing
not
is,
have been his first role, but it was his first kind of rise to prominence.
Hmm. Yeah,
I just feel
definitely.
sometimes with Hollywood, especially, they sort of overrate the whole experience of body changing, and which is part of acting. But for me, it's just it's a shell, nothing more than
Well,
that.
but I mean,
So
like there
so
are
De Niro
different.
in Raging Bull, it's all about the
Yeah,
weight loss and this and that. And that's a defining moment. I don't think that's his best performance ever. First and foremost, I'll come to that later. But there are other understated performances which are really good. Like you only know the film, like Paul Newman in Hombre. It's
hmm,
fantastic, but nobody even remember it. And there's nothing happening in the film. There's no body change and the
interesting.
glamour of all this work that goes into a De Niro sort of getting into a
Mm,
role thing. So I think too much attention is paid to that sometimes, and the performance, is not looked at because there are great
Yeah.
performances where you don't do that, and then maybe even
mm,
better. But whenever you have
interesting.
this weight loss and this age thing, and then that dominates, and kitna kaam kiya, kya kaam kiya? He sat down on a chair, somebody made him up. I mean, come on, for God's sake. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like De Niro actually put on and lost a lot of weight for that
It's
movie,
great,
no?
Amit. It's great he did all that, but let's look at the performance outside that. That is
It
the
was,
effort he's
dude.
put in.
He was really good in Raging Bull,
It's
man.
fantastic, but it's not. I think Taxi Driver is his number one performance ever. I
Okay,
think
I
for
would
me that's
not
number one.
agree with that.
Yeah. Then
I would
I
not.
like Cape
I would
Fear.
not. I
No,
would agree. I would go Cape Fear over Taxi Driver for sure. I
then
would not agree with Taxi Driver at all as like his
I
number. I
I'd
like
would
say
his
say
role in
Casino.
Goodfellas.
I think it was pretty great in
I like his
Casino.
role.
Yeah,
He's
Goodfellas. I
Casino
mean,
and
like when
Goodfellas
he
was excellent, of course.
Goodfellas,
not good
man. I mean,
in Goodfellas and in
Casino,
the movie on
Casino.
Cashing Al
Huh?
Capone. What is that? Untouchables.
Oh,
He plays Al
Untouchables. Okay,
Capone. It's
yeah,
fantastic. So those roles
eh,
which he really gets bang on. You
yeah.
remember the
No,
scene where the baseball bat in the boardroom,
yeah, yeah. Of course,
based on a
he's in
true
like
story.
4 scenes in that movie, right? I
Oh,
mean, like,
that
but he
was
was fantastic. Yeah. But
yeah.
but I
That
mean,
was
like, if you were to ask me his best role, I mean, like, I think Goodfellas. I mean, like, his best performance, Goodfellas. I can't.
Goodfellas.
I feel
Goodfellas is
like
up there.
one of
Yeah,
the
I
best
forgot about
movies ever
Goodfellas. I'll
made
give you that.
for
yeah,
sure. Yeah.
I feel like he
I
was
love
a
Goodfellas.
little
Yeah,
too much in Taxi Driver, right? It was just a bit much. But again, that's the role. That was the
he's
role.
a
But it just
psycho.
felt
He's a
he was.
friggin' psycho, Amit. He's not too much.
Yeah.
He
Well,
scares the crap
I
out of you.
honestly, I didn't
Also,
enjoy that movie that much. I just I did not like that movie that much.
You
I
just
felt
don't
like
like taxi drivers. You again back to
I love
racism.
taxi
You go back
drivers.
to
I
the
sit with them
prejudices.
every
He
day.
doesn't like the concept of a taxi driver, and
Dude, I sit with
damn
taxi
it.
drivers every day. I'm the one who uses a taxi every day, not you.
Is that the future of our sponsorship? Huh? This is
Well,
mind-blowing.
we let's hope so.
Let's tie up with Uber. Because a
Let's try.
morning show,
yeah,
people are leaving for work. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Uber should reach out. Uber, please reach out to us. We'll give you the deal
yeah,
of a lifetime. Wink, wink. Okay, guys, shall we end now? I'm
I
sweating
think
like an
yes.
animal.
sure,
Okay.
absolutely.
Animals don't
Cool.
sweat, but it's nice to say. Oxymoron.
Well,
Ox.
animals.
Oxy.
Some animals do sweat.
They perspire, but not the way we do, right? It's through, the tongue and stuff. It doesn't. Most
No,
animals
dude. I
don't
mean,
sweat
like,
the way we do.
why horses have sweat?
Sweat glands. Put that
Horses
question
sweat.
out there. Do horses sweat on the external side of their body,
I'm
like human
pretty sure
beings,
they do.
on their neck and back? Amit, the horse rider amongst us, a man who has broken
I'll just
many
look this up.
horses in his time.
I feel like
Sil-
horses sweat.
Silvery is checking it right now. He's
Yeah.
googling. Do horses sweat externally? Yeah, they all sweat, but
Okay, this
externally.
says interestingly, only horses and primates cool themselves primarily through sweating. When walking
Ah,
in warm weather, horses produce about 1 gallon of sweat every 15 minutes.
yeah. So horses do sweat.
Horses do
So
sweat.
you so you'd say it's equal, but I will say that I dominated the answer because you've got two animals in the whole kingdom along with human beings. Primates and we are the same, and
Yes.
horses.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Like,
did
we
not
call
know
this
that
one.
horses and primates were the only ones who sweat. I honestly didn't know that, but I could
Have you seen a
picture.
sparrow sweat? Have you
I
seen a
know there are
buffalo
very few
sweat?
animals who sweat. Like the dogs don't
I
sweat, cats don't
I
sweat.
did
Like,
not really honestly I didn't know that. I had absolutely no idea that animals
Somebody in
don't
my
sweat.
building is sweating as we speak over the window being
Yes.
open. So I better get back to that beautiful
All
story.
right. Cool.
We'll see you soon. Bye bye. Have a great day,
yes,
everybody.
See ya.
thank you.
Bye bye.